All right, folks, what's up? It's your boy, DrCoach Irwin Hudson, a.k.a. Dr. Coach. Oh, hoops, baby. Let's go. I'm back, folks. Episode 12. And guess what? I'm going to do this one off the cuff. This is going to just be me talking to you, telling you how I feel. And what I want to talk about today, and it's important because it's going to be a whole series of these. I got 3 of them at least for the next 3 episodes. I just want to tell you and explain to you what the F was I thinking when I started coaching high school basketball. I mean, seriously, folks, this is I know you might think it sounds crazy, but I just been thinking about it, and I coached for over 18 years in the varsity ranks. I coached AAU for probably 12 years. I didn't have to do this, but I was already owning my own training company. I just decided to go and coach basketball. So it was, let me rewind because I really want to make sure you understand. I don't regret it, but it was one of the hardest things that I ever did. And I put my family through it. I know that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to go in detail and just pour my heart out to you and explain to you what I was thinking. And like I said, I'm gonna try to keep it PG. That's why I'm not, using the word itself. But you know what I'm talking about, guys. What the F was I thinking when I decided to coach high school basketball? All right, remember, it's your boy, Dr. Coach Irwin Hudson, aka Dr. Coach. Oh hoops, baby. And I'm back like I never left, and I'm just gonna go at it today. Excuse the hat, but I'm feeling a little nostalgic today, guys. I'm feeling nostalgic. I went to Birmingham, Alabama last weekend, and I hung out with one of my fraternity brothers from Starkville, Mississippi. We went to high school together. We went to first grade all the way through high school together. Went to Mississippi State together. We pledged in our fraternity our freshman year together. And he invited me to his hometown now in Birmingham, Alabama, so I could be a part of his Sigma Ball, Phi Beta Sigma, my fraternity. Over 37 years of being in the frat. In fact, I think we're coming up on our 50th year anniversary. Folks, it was a great time. I took the wife, and first time she ever got a chance to be a part of a Sigma Ball, which was amazing because we've been together 23 years, and I kind of slacked a little bit. I haven't been hanging out with the fraternity like I was supposed to be, but I went. I had a great time. I can't wait to do it again. So back to why I'm wearing my shirt, because like I said, I saw my fraternity brother, and I decided I want to wear Mississippi State today, and today was my Mississippi State day. Yesterday was my Florida State day because my daughter goes to Florida State, but today is my day, Mississippi State, and I even got the hat on, the beanie. Well, 2 reasons. I really like the hat because it matches. I even got shoes matching and everything, but I also don't have a haircut. I need a haircut, so I know you folks out there in Spotify land, you can't see it or anything, but yeah, not looking my best, so I decided to just keep the hat on and do this episode with my hat on. So please excuse the hat, but know that I'll be getting a haircut tomorrow, and everything's going to be all right. Back to the lecture at hand. What the F was I thinking when I decided to coach high school basketball? Folks, high school basketball was tough. Honestly, dealing with the parents, and that's the main reason I wrote the book, guys. High school is hard. First of all, they don't pay you anything. And coaches out there, I know we don't do it for the money, and I know most of the coaches out there do not do it for the money because the stipend is not worth it. In fact, a few of my friends, several coaches, we actually decided one year we probably made about 10 cents per hour just to coach basketball. And in some cases, I really believe that I paid to coach because, the travel, the practice times, the times you're thinking about basketball when you're not at the games or at the school. It's a year-round thing if you're a real coach. So definitely, money was not the reason. So what was my reason? I honestly know that it was my calling. It was my why. I always wanted to. I even said something my senior year at Mississippi State. They were asking me, what all do I want to, what did I want to do when I grow up? And what was I going to do after I got my degree? And I honestly, I know I didn't want to be an engineer. In fact, I was going to go into public relations right after I graduated, but luckily enough, I got a job right out of college so I can get out of Mississippi, like I told you before. But I really didn't want to do engineering. I really wanted to do public relations and be out there speaking and making a difference. This was my way to make a difference. Coaching high school basketball was something that I even told on tape. I said this. I said that all I wanted to do was, maybe teach math, coach basketball, and that was about it. You know, money wasn't important to me. I mean, honestly, I knew I didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to stay in Mississippi, but I wanted to be happy. And being an engineer, yeah, it afforded me a pretty good lifestyle. My family and I, we've traveled the country, and I've gotten out of the states before. I mean, Germany and Panama and Canada and places like that. But nothing has made me more happier than coaching basketball. And I want to say more so the training aspect of it, but coaching, that was just a challenge. I mean, dealing with the parents, honestly, was the hardest part about it. I mean, the kids are kids. I mean, they do their thing, they get upset with you, but the next day they're over it. Parents, when you mess with somebody's kid, it's a whole nother world. So yeah, that was the hard part. But again, it was my why. I gotta believe that that's who I am. I'm a coach at heart. I can't help it. My wife gets mad at me when we're on the pickleball court because I coach her. I can't. I just, that's who I am. And if I see somebody, we've stopped in the parks before while we're driving home from Miami, or we're going home to Mississippi, and I see some kid in the park with their dad, and he doesn't know what he's doing. I've actually gotten out and went over and offered my services for free and just sit there and worked with them, taught them how to do layups, taught them proper form. So I know coaching was just, it's in my blood, I believe. I mean, I don't know for sure because, like I said, I didn't grow up with a father, and I didn't have that example, and nobody in my family really coached. Or, well, my uncle, I had an uncle, Coach Hudson. We called him Coach Hudson, Cleveland Hudson. He was a coach, high school coach. He played football at Kentucky State, and he was a football coach. So maybe that's where I got it from. But that's about the only coach that I really knew that was in my family. But I just, decided that's what I wanted to do. And I guess it was also a natural fit with the training because, when I trained, I was coaching also, but getting an organized team and having to be at a high school and do all this while you're working, I guess I was just a glutton for punishment. I mean, I knew it. My wife always thought I was crazy because I couldn't sit still. But I told a lot of people that was really what kept me out of trouble. Me coaching is really what keeps me out of trouble. I mean, I was, I'm a free spirit. I would be out there having way too much fun if I wasn't. So, that's I was meant to coach. But again, high school. Why did I do high school? Because AAU was fun. You had your own control, but AAU got corrupt. I'm sorry, it got corrupt, and that was one of the reasons I got out of that. It started getting worse and worse. Probably back in 2002. Well, no, probably 2001. I think it was my last year, probably coaching AAU. My little brother and one of his teams and a couple of guys around here, big time players like Sean Witherspoon and guys like that. They played for me, and that was fun. We had good times. But then after that, it became, players quit every week. Parents were unhappy. We don't know why. I mean, we only had 7 or 8 on the team, but it's still, you couldn't make people happy. So I decided, I was actually coaching my little brother too on the side as a assistant coach. And maybe I should have stayed there at that spot. Assistant coaching was fun. Under Steve Cohn, that was a good time. He was in charge. He did everything, and I was just, I was the good guy, to the players. I'm the one that the players looked to, and the parents would call and talk to me, and be upset with the coach. But I always had to back my coach no matter what, because I tell everybody, and Coach Joe and I say this all the time: the number one criteria or quality that an assistant coach has to have, he has to be loyal to his head coach. I mean, unless he's doing something wrong. I mean, if he's giving you an unlawful order, definitely don't follow an unlawful order. But if he's he's got his way and he's got his philosophy, you've got to be in line with that coach. So definitely loyalty is a big thing. And I was loyal to the core with Coach Cohen. I loved him, and he taught me almost everything I know. I really tried to mimic my coaching style after him and how he did things. Again, what the F was I thinking? I was I'm an engineer. I was working for the United States Department of Defense, not the Department of War, the Department of Defense. I worked for them for, gosh, 22 years. I was a defense contractor for 13 before that. And I didn't need it. I didn't need to go through that anguish, but I don't know. I guess I just wanted to. I wanted to do it. And when unfortunately Rob Graham, good friend of mine, Rob Graham, Coach Graham, he was a young guy, great coach. Bishop Moore, they were doing some big things, probably having their best season. And unfortunately, Rob went down with some kind of situation with his heart where it stopped in the first quarter of a huge game. The district championship game at Eustis. and Eustis was our nemesis. And so Rob went down, and after that, they needed a coach. So they ended up losing that district game. Eustis went on, and right before the season, the next year, they couldn't find a coach, and they put it out, on the web, and I saw it. I had a great job. I was already coaching at Lake Howell, coaching some of the best players, gosh, in the country at that time. Joey Rodriguez, Nick Calathis, John Roberson, Chandler Parsons, Brett Chance, Alex Castillo, Alfredo Noodle Williams. I mean, these guys were amazing. Probably the best team Lake Howell's ever had. I was, coaching them. They were going into their junior year. We had already went to the state championship twice. Went down to the Lakeland to the state championship twice, back to back, and for sure was going the next year too. I mean, these guys were destined to go down and do great things, and I ended up taking my first head coaching high school job at Bishop Moore Catholic High School. The stars were aligned. I mean, their mascot was the same as my high school mascot. I mean, they looked the same, but we were called the Yellow Jackets. They were called the Hornets. But I don't know. There was two guys. They had two players there that I wanted to coach. I trained them before. DJ Ferguson, who I think he was like the NCAA assist leader his freshman year at Flagler, over of all colleges, and Danny Krazip, great player at Embry-Riddle. So those guys were going to be juniors that year, and I was like, man, I got a chance to go and coach two really good players, and they had a pretty good team. They were returning. The rest of the seniors were coming in. They're supposed to be a great team. So I was like, why not? Throw caution to the wind. We just had a baby. My wife and I we had a 2-year-old daughter at the time, and I went and I ended up going to coach at Bishop Moore High School, which it turned out to be great because that first year we were amazing. We went again to the district championship, went to the regional championship against Eustis, and we played our tails off and we did great. We ended up losing that one, the regional championship, to them, but then we came back the next year. So I had their senior year, which was even better. First time, and we ended up beating Eustis one of the games at their place, and we had never done that before. And then got to the regional championship, they beat us. However, after that game, we find out when they went down to the state championship, they ended up getting disqualified for having ineligible players, which we couldn't do anything about it. We had already, our season was over. We weren't practicing, so we couldn't go down and play in the state championship. They had already went down there, and I think somebody, got them disqualified, and they ended up forfeiting all those games. So we ended up winning those games that we lost to them. We lost 2-1-1. Anyways, that was just, that was a great year. And I mean, that started out great for me. And I'm like, okay, I had 2 years of coaching. I probably should have got out when I had the chance. I was, I could have got out while I was really on a high note too, because we did great. And in fact, I had a chance to go to OCP, which was the top school. OCP had won about 3 or 4 state championships already. They gave me an offer that was amazing. I was going to be the highest paid varsity basketball coach in the state of Florida at that time. This is before Montverde and IMG and those guys, but they were going to give me a stipend that was incredible. And I went there. I went out, looked over the contract. I signed the contract. I called my boss back at Bishop Moore and told him, hey, I was resigning. I couldn't, pass up this chance. And he was okay. And he was disappointed because they really wanted me there. We had done great things for 2 years. However, something happened, and I still regret it to this day. I find out that Billy Donovan was coming down to be the Magic head coach, and so Billy had recruited two of my players, Chandler Parsons, Nick Calathis. They were at Lake Howell at the time, and they were getting ready to. They had already committed to go to Florida. So I'm like, okay, these guys are going to Florida. And Billy's going to come down here. So I talked to Billy, and he found out that his son was coming down with him. His son's a great shooter, really good kid. I think he's going to be a junior at that time, and he was coming down, and he's staunch Catholic, and they were like, only Catholic school in Orlando was Bishop Moore, and so I called Mike Malatesta, who was the athletic director. I called him. I said, Mike, is there any way I can get my job back? And he was thrilled. He was like, of course, or we didn't want you to leave. We really want you here. I think we can do great things. I mean, OCP wasn't happy. They thought they had their coach because they had lost their coach at the time, and they had a team that was destined to win the state championship. I mean, whoever was going to coach that team was going to win the state championship, and that was my state championship. And I changed my mind to go back to Bishop Moore and passed up the chance to be with Tyshawn Patterson, Keith Clanton, Eric Valentin. I mean, guys that were phenomenal. They had players, and Bishop Moore's cupboard was bare. We were starting over again. Unfortunately, after Danny and DJ left, it was slim pickings. We had a freshman came in that was pretty decent. He had a lot of promise. Didn't have a lot of experience, but he had a lot of promise that he was going to be a great player. And my gosh, man, it was a travesty. It was the hardest coaching year ever. Even though I worked harder than I ever did before, it was probably the worst season that I ever had in my coaching career. It was just not, we just didn't have the talent. We didn't have we just weren't ready, and the parents weren't ready either because they really thought, man, my kid was so good last year, and now all of a sudden they've dropped down, so coach must not know what he's doing. I mean, I was great the year before. They thought I was awesome. They thought I was the best coach in the world, but they didn't realize, it ain't a lot you can do with the X's and O's when you don't have the Jimmies and the Joes. And, my Jimmy and Joe had graduated. So not having those two guys, it changed everything. Everything we tried to run, we couldn't run. And the players that were there now, they were getting exposed because they weren't able to get their shots, and they couldn't create them like those guys could, and those guys drew a lot of attention. And I tried to explain all that to them, but none of that mattered to the parents. All they cared about was my kid scored, 7 points a game last year, or 8 points a game last year, and now he's scoring 4. It's got to be the coach's fault. And of course, it's got to be the coach's fault. But, nevertheless, that was my time to exit, and I went out on my own accord, kind of like Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He got a chance to step down after, he had a lot of great seasons, 19, and then, just didn't get him over the hump to where they needed to this year, so he stepped down. So that's what I did. I stepped down. I got out. I got out while the getting was good, and that's how I built my gym. And I went on and I did some great things for Orlando, coaching and training and teaching and counseling the youth of Orlando, the state of Florida, and all over. I mean, there were people traveling in from Jersey. I met some of my, great friends and trainers, Jim Rat, Ryan Van Loo, his brother Dustin, all my guys, Jared, Nick, those all guys came in right after I finished coaching at Bishop Moore and built the O-Hoops lab. So after that, I mean, okay, I should have stopped there. I was good. I had gotten 3 varsity years of head coaching experience. I'd already had 9 years at Lake Howell of on JV and freshman and assistant varsity. Then I had 2 years at Oak Ridge High School. That's a different world over there. You got athletes, You got a lot of stuff. And that was, I'm driving, gosh, 30 minutes to go to practice, 30 minutes to get on the bus to go to games, leaving my job to do these things. And I sacrificed a lot. This was started before I met my wife, and then when we got together, the good thing is I was already a coach, so she became a coach's wife, and she kind of had to deal with it. But I put her through a lot with that, and I know I did. I know she sacrificed and she took care of the babies, and all while I was coaching. So I got to give her a big shout out. I mean, my wife is an angel for doing that and giving me the chance to be able to do what I do. And people don't really see that, but that's a big deal. But anyways, I'm doing great. I was coaching. I was having fun. Oh, let me pause for a second. I want to make sure I don't forget. Guys, please buy my book. I know that's crazy. That's a bad segue, but buy my book. It's on Amazon. I'm actually going to put it on sale this next week. It's going to go down probably almost like, gosh, at least 40% sale. So please buy the book. You'll love it. It's my memoir. It tells you all about my life. Some of the stuff I'm telling you now, but it tells you a lot more. I talk about, the father I never had. I talk about all the parents, the crazy parents that I've dealt with. I give you guys a solution for how you take off your parent-colored glasses. That's the title of the book. Take off your parent-colored glasses. So, back to the matter at hand. Again, I just wanted to say that real quick. Folks, I was riding high, training the world, traveling the country, doing my thing, and all of a sudden, the Trinity Prep job came open. That was, gosh, that was probably a dream come true, but more like a nightmare because I shouldn't have done it. I was working. My job was doing great. I had just, got back into school, working on my master's. 2011 started at UCF, and then I ended up getting my master's in 2013. And all of a sudden, that job came available, and I decided I couldn't pass it up because it was so close to my home. Right around the corner, probably 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles max from my house. And just so happened they had a few good players. And when I got there, word got out, and a few good players transferred from Lake Highland Prep to come and play at Trinity Prep, which was unheard of at the time because Trinity, we call it the Harvard of high schools because it's so academically challenging. So nobody would really come there. It was just, you got the kids that could afford it and the kids who could handle the rigor. And, you just didn't get athletes coming in. And luckily, when I got there, for some reason, people decided, okay, he can train. He did good at Bishop Moore. Let's follow him over to Trinity Prep, and they did. So I joke about it because we ended up the first year, Lake Highland beat us twice that year. My first year coaching at Trinity Prep, great games, close games. In fact, the district championship they beat us, and I still have nightmares about it. We're leading the whole game, and they end up winning by 1 point. This kid named Arlen, redhead, he got me. The last second they called a play. We called timeout to stop it. We saw what they were going to do. Called another play. Called timeout. They went in. Coach Valerie drew up another one, layup right down the middle under their basket. Which I could go into the whole detail, but it was just awful because we were winning by, gosh, we were winning by 1, and we had a free throw. My best player goes to the line to shoot 2 free throws, misses them both. Missed both free throws, and then the second free throw, there's only about, I think, 6 or 7 seconds on the clock. The ball gets somehow hit or kicked, and it goes all the way down under the other team's basket and gets out of bounds before anybody can stop it. And, off of a rebound, and they get the ball under their basket with about, I think, 1.7 seconds to go in the game, and they win the game against us. So that was a nightmare, and I hated it the whole summer. And we prepared, and all of a sudden, I have one more of their kids transferred in from Lake Highland. So now they've got 2 or 3 Division I basketball players on their team. We had 1 on our team. We had a couple of D3s and stuff like that. And the highlight of my coaching career was beating them 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times that year. 1, 2, 3. I'm serious. We beat them 3 times, big games. In fact, we beat them in the district championship at Masters, which Masters Academy was big time too, and they should have won the district. They had, gosh, they had this kid named Colby, and they had another kid that was really good too, Tanner Rubio. But these guys, they were special. They both played college basketball, one D1, one D2, and I think Colby played overseas a long time. They had the best team. They ended up losing to Lake Highland Prep, which, of course, Lake Highland thought we beat them all this time, and we beat them early in the season, but then they came back and beat us. Oh no, I'm sorry. Rewind that. We beat them in the season. They're thinking that they're going to beat us because it's hard to beat a team twice, especially a great team with 3 Division I players on their team. But lo and behold, we had the game of our life and we beat them, and so that was it. That was the second time we beat them. Turn around, we get another chance at it again because we go on, get to the regional championship. Oh no, the regional semifinals. We get to the regional semifinals and we get Lake Highland again because they were like the at-large bid after they lost the district. Or at the time, I think the top 2 teams would go on to the regional, and they went another bracket and they beat their 2 teams. We beat our 2 teams. We met back up in the semifinals. It was at our place. It was rocking. They thought they were going to win. They had Grant Hill in the stands. They had everybody in the stands cheering for them. But Trinity Prep came on top, and we beat them. So that was my highlight. Beating Lake Highland Prep 3 times in 1 year was amazing, and I'll take that to my grave. I'm sure Coach Valerie's not happy about that still either, but that was a great year for me because he got me the first year, so we're even. Anyway, so I was able to, after that, I had already made a decision because I was working on my own PhD at the time now. This is 2015, going into 2015, and I had 1 more year to work on my dissertation, do all that stuff. So I'm like, I stepped down. I was having issues with the AD. I was having, I knew that my best players were graduating, and I was just like, this is not going to be good again, and I'm not going to get stuck a 3rd year when I don't have to. So I stepped down. I stepped down to go finish my PhD. Everything went well, did all that, and Trinity Prep started falling back down again, going back into that old Trinity Prep mentality, and they weren't getting players in. So I guess how many years more? Maybe back this is like 2015. So 2020 during COVID, that was the last year. Tony decided to move back down to Miami to get back closer to his family and everything. So the job came open again. I'm like, what are you thinking? What the F was I thinking about going back into coaching high school basketball? I mean, why? I had already done 3 years at Bishop Moore. I had already done 2 great years at Trinity Prep, 2 of the best years Trinity Prep has ever had. Why go back into trying to coach again? They had a good player, a very good player, Javon Bennett, and another really, really good player, Laziz Talipov. Those 2 were special, and they had a defensive stopper, Jalen. Jalen was a defensive stopper. So that you got 3 good players. I'm like, I can do something with that. And then I had a few guys transfer in because they hear that Coach Irwin's back in the coaching realm and back at Trinity. So people transferred in, and we did very well. Our first year back, we ended up going to the regional championship, taking Trinity again to the regional championship. So 2 times in my career. The first time, it's hard to talk about. That last time before I quit, and that's why it was kind of bittersweet, really. We went to the regional championship after beating Lake Highland Prep, but we lost by 1 point. Man, we lost by 1 point in the regional championship to Holy Trinity, which still bothers me to this day also because, we beat them, I think, twice that year. No, beat them once that year, but then come down to the regional championship, they beat us by 1 point, and we had them. And they were stacked. They were a great team, football players, tough, strong, but we just had a great game plan, and it was at our place, and we had them. So it's so bad because I can remember this very well. 10 seconds to go on the clock. We go down, and we foul them. We're up 2 points. We're up 2. No, actually up 1. We're up 1. Up 1 point. And we foul them with about less than 10 seconds to go on the clock. They go up and make both free throws. So the clock had already got down. I think after because it was 10 when they took the ball out. Then we fouled them. I know it was probably like 6 seconds to go on the clock. So they make the free throws. We call timeout. I draw up a play and I say, listen, guys, we got to get it across half court, and I'm going to call another timeout. We don't have a clear open shot right as soon as we get it across half court. I'm going to call timeout, so be ready. And I had already told the refs that. So, and we had 2 timeouts. So we take it in. We dribbled it down. My probably second best player, he was our senior, really good player. He was in the corner. And I don't think he had hit a 3 all game. But anyways, he's in the corner wide open, and my best player, Jason West, had the ball, brought the ball up the court. He's only a sophomore, so he's still young. He gets the ball up the court, gets it across half court, and he looked like he's stuck, and he jumps up, and I'm like, I call timeout. And the refs give me timeout, but he swings it to the corner to Trent Sudeth. Trent Sudeth drills a 3 with 1.5 seconds to go on the clock. He drills the 3, but the refs gave me the timeout. Oh my God, it still hurts. I ain't gonna lie, it still hurts. It hurts so bad because that was my chance to get down to the state championship again, and we had won the game. That was it. That 3. I didn't think Trent was gonna hit that 3. He still gives me grief about it too. Said, Coach, you didn't trust me, but I wouldn't have trusted anybody at that moment right there. All we needed was a 2, and I didn't want to shoot a corner 3 to lose the basketball game. So we call the timeout. We draw up a play, and we actually still get a pretty good attempt at it. My sophomore player gets to pull up a 3. I mean, he pulled up a 2. I mean, he jabbed, had about 1.5 seconds, pulled up, missed the shot, in and out. So we lost that one. My next time back, I told you, I took the break, went and did my PhD, came back, coaching again. Now I got another 3 really good players, 2 Division I players, a Division II player, all on the squad. So I can win with that. I know I can. But, just a lot of factors came into play, and we did not realize we would go that far that fast. We're at a regional championship game. It's still probably the best moment in my coaching career. Javon Bennett hits the biggest 3 of any kid's life. I mean, we drew up the play because they were keying on him. They knew that he was going to get the ball, but I kind of drew it up for my second best player, which was we had more than that. I forgot we had Christian. We had Christian on there already too. Christian was a junior. He was doing great. He had been playing great. He had a couple of 28-point games and stuff like that. And he was just a junior, and so I actually drew the play up for Christian because Christian was 6'4", 6'5", and I knew they were going to key on Javon. I had my senior leader, Laziz, taking the ball out, and we drew the play up that we're going to do a backdoor and throw toward the basket and let Christian get fouled. We were down 1 point with, I guess, 3 seconds or 2.7 seconds to go in the game, and I was about to call another. We had one more timeout. I was getting ready to call timeout again, and Laziz just passed it in. It was like he was counting in his head. I mean, like I said, he's a senior. He knew what he was doing. He was counting, and as soon as it got to 4, somehow Javon broke free right in front of our bench. He did one jab and pulled the most incredible. I mean, y'all don't understand. That shot was outrageous. Hit the corner of the backboard and went in. And we ran around the gym for probably 4 or 5 minutes going crazy in there. That was the most jubilation I've ever had on a basketball court. I mean, since I played back in high school. I mean, that's been almost 40 years ago, so I don't remember that. This was crazy. I mean, watching that shot and go in, and us to go to the regional championship after struggling that year. We didn't we didn't win the district. We lost the district to TFA. They beat us, and it was like we had to play them again, and we ended up going back to their place and beating them in the regional after that game. But we just had a great time with that team, and I had another year going at it again, another year with that team after Laziz and those guys graduated. We had a pretty good year with Javon and the rest of the guys. I still keep going back to saying in my head, why did I keep going back to the well? I mean, it was like I don't understand it. I should have just let it go, but I went back for another year. And that was the year that really kind of I guess you say, the straw that broke the camel's back. It was tough coaching that year, and that's where my book was born. I mean, I really learned a lot about parents. I learned a lot about, you know, good parents. Learned a lot about bad parents, and I learned a lot about ugly parents. And that's what got me out of coaching. That was my cue to finally say, it's time to get out and time to do my own thing. And that's what I did. I broke loose. I ended up resigning that one more year after the regional championship game. And I haven't looked back since, because, I mean, coaching high school basketball, like I said, is rewarding when you're getting through to the kids, but when you're dealing with the parents, and when you're dealing with life and everything around you seeming to fall apart. Even the first time I was at Trinity, my business almost went down. I hired someone, and they did a lot of bad things, and they almost took my company down. And I lost a lot of good friends out of it. I lost some, great trainers, which we were really doing some great stuff, and I could have done better. But I don't know. I mean, I just know you really got to want this. If you really want to coach at the high school level, especially now dealing with all the transferring and stuff like that you can just go anywhere you want to go. I don't know if it's worth it anymore, and I'm glad I did it. I really am. I'm happy that I took that challenge, and I took the plunge, and I did what I was supposed to do. I changed some lives. I've got people that, some of my players are not, they're not speaking to me, I guess. I don't know. I loved every one of my players. Every player that I ever coached, I really cared about them deeply, and I really want to be in their lives and be a part of them. And I think all of them come back eventually, but some of them weren't happy. Parents weren't happy. And I don't know why. They never tell me why. They just really, I guess they can't seem to take off their parent-colored glasses. I don't know. I mean, thank you guys for letting me just rant and vent today. That's all I wanted to do. This episode was just about what I was thinking about, is what the F was I thinking when I decided to coach high school basketball. My next episode is probably going to be what the F I was thinking when I decided to retire so early, because right now I'm having to work a lot harder. I'm having to train a lot more. This is my livelihood, and I really am going all into it. I want to be a public speaker. I want to be an author. I've done those things, and now it's time to really, really put my money where my mouth is and go out and do what I'm supposed to do to take care of my family right now. I mean, I'll get an Army pension. It won't be a lot right now since I did retire early, but I'm happy right now, and I want to do this, and I want to keep doing it. You guys tell me what you need from me to make it better and make it more interesting and more exciting. I've been going back over my old videos and stuff, and like I said, wow, man, I got to get better. That's what I look at, and I say, I got to get better. I want to educate. I want to motivate. I want to inspire you to be the best you can be. That's probably the main reason I did this. That's my why. So I'm gonna do it. So I'm coming at you with it. And let's see. I got this in here.
If I don't accomplish it, we gon' try it again. And when I do accomplish it, we gon' try it again. Yeah, perfect me.
So, guys, stay with me. Let's do this. Please like, follow, and subscribe. That's the only way I'm going to keep this thing going, is to keep getting input and keep getting, comments from you guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant this long. I was going to do 15 minutes each, and I ended up, this is probably an hour. I don't even know yet. I'm probably going to edit it down, though. Actually, no, I said I'm not going to edit it. This is going to be straight up. This is who it is. This is who I am. And you guys, hopefully you got an idea of why the F I decided to coach high school basketball. Thank you. Remember, like, follow, and subscribe. Have fun and get better, because that's what life in basketball is all about. Now that's a hoops, baby. Let's go. Peace.